There still is, though, however, if you recall, in San Francisco, they're doing park sweeps, so any of the greenbelt areas are being cleaned out at the demand of the public. To think for a second that we aren't receiving some people from those areas would be, I think, a huge mistake. They are moving around to some degree. We've been able to track some populations, and I don't have the recent data at hand. It wasn't truly significant, but it looks like it could be. My concern about homeless populations today, most notably, is you can't have unequal services in adjacent areas, or you're going to concentrate people somewhere where you don't have the ability to accommodate.
There you go.
And I really worry that on a national level, with the economy being as flat as it is, that there are going to be cutbacks in other counties, and I worry even more on a regional basis that other states may be faced with cutbacks in their services to people, and there may be core things like mental health or sheltering or whatever it may be. You think at that point you start to move even more around, more than the frequency of people just traveling through, looking a place over and maybe winding up for some reason longer term in some jurisdiction. That regional approach, it's my belief, is the only way we're going to be able to better manage. I know there's a longer term plan for homelessness, but in the short term, we ought to well know what's going on in the other counties, and we need to know what's going on related to services in other states and how we can make sure that resources are available from the federal government to those other states, so that you don't cause people to go somewhere where they can't meet the service levels.
And of course, when we talk about homelessness, it's never far removed from the topic of public safety, police enforcement. The Board of Supervisors received just this week the report from the Human Rights Commission and appointed your colleagues Neely and Woolley as the alternate to meet with the Human Rights Commission, the local law enforcement association, and the police review advocates to work out a system heretofore undeveloped in Humboldt County of either an ombudsman and or a police review board and or some sort of mechanism to not only review complaints but to make suggestions for policies, practices, and procedures. Do you think the county's moving in the right direction there? Would you like to see go a little faster, a little slower, and if so, why?
Well, I think the county accommodated the wishes of the Human Rights Commission and a number of other people from the public that came in with concerns. It was attended by a range of people, as you know, that had expertise in a lot of fields from the Human Rights Commission, but also from Health and Human Services and law enforcement. Whether that actually points to through those numerous meetings, and there are more to come with more definitive actions as they pull in more people and more resources from other areas, particularly the cities, and get their input, which is absolutely essential. Then there likely will be more recommendations coming back. In this interim period, though, my sense is, if you look at what happens in the grand jury, there are resources available. If there are notable questions, allegations, problems, for people to be able to approach an independent body, that I happen to have a lot of confidence in the grand jury system. And there also is, related to that, at an elected official level, the sheriff and the district attorney are both there. And another avenue, albeit I hope it's never used in the case of a fatality, is through the coroner. And presently, even though there's discussion about at some point in time, depending on which group you listen to, more of a need or an alternative that might be explored to consolidate. The coroner still is an independent body, and that those investigations provide information in an unbiased manner out there. So there still are alternatives that are in front of people that they can access to make sure that there's an unbiased opinion, good solid investigative powers and authority. So we'll continue to listen. I know I will. I want to listen to everybody that's been involved and see what their recommendations are. But I feel that today there are numerous alternatives available.
You were the supervisor who had the most trepidation towards passing the regs the county adopted in 2004 that set the 3-pound 100 square foot general rule that Gallegos, the DA, was already sort of going with as a general guideline. Of course, these were developed by that medical cannabis task force that included police, included the university, included growers and so forth. With Mendocino looking at a more restrictive system, kind of going back, stepping back from the more liberal limits similar to Humboldt's towards the state default minimums, do you think Humboldt is perhaps due for a review of its medical cannabis policy, considering the number of very high-profile busts by the Humboldt County Drug Task Force just in the last couple of months of pretty massive grow operations?
Now there's a hot-button question for you, and actually it's a very good one. And you were right, I was nervous about it, and still am, and knew that at some point in the future we're going to have to revisit that, whether I'm on the board or not, whoever's there, it's going to have to be dealt with. It's my opinion that, and it's probably most notable in the letter that went out several months ago to the congressman saying we ought to be legalizing marijuana. In my opinion, at that time, was not related to the safety issues on the outlying areas. This relates to large growers, the ones out in the
5,000 plants.
Yeah, and there were a couple, as you recall, a couple of large ones out on, there was one in Redwood Creek, there was another large one in southern Humboldt. Those, there may be some legitimate movement forward by Congress to address those. I don't see it in the immediate future. The danger is real. People with guns, guards, people that may not necessarily understand English because they're brought up from other countries where their only job is to guard it. And it is dangerous. My argument with it was, if you do that, just do a comprehensive request that includes educational components, how you're going to fund it, so that you make sure, like tobacco, that you have addressed the issues that I heard from the people I work with in juvenile justice, the people I work with in foster parenting, and the people that have generally said we need those details incorporated into any plan or letter or request that we made. And we didn't do that. We just simply said, we want you to address legalization. On the medical marijuana part, I have plenty of problems in my district that go beyond what I voted for, and I think most people did. If you wanted to use medical marijuana for your glaucoma or cancer treatment or whatever it may be, I don't stand in anybody's way. But nor did people envision that we were going to have homes destroyed, we were going to have more competitive rent costs because of
People can just rent to
grows, or that people were going to develop an industry as kind of a sideline based on what was seen, I think, by the majority of the population as a legitimate, it's your right to use this if you're ill. So, in my opinion, yeah, it's going to have to be addressed, and I'm watching closely what Mendocino is doing and what the city of Arcata is doing, and I'm listening to my constituents and their concerns about how can we address this and make it more reasonable.
Humboldt County voters are reminded to cast their ballots on or before June 3rd. For Mark Conkler and the rest of us at the Humboldt Sentinel, this is Charles Douglas reporting from Old Town Eureka.